Qais Khan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Qais, your debut Bollywood film, Bell Bottom, is all set to premiere on Amazon Prime Video on September 16 later this week. Please tell us more about your character and backing the film.
So, thing is, when I got this role, I was not planning to do a Bollywood movie at that point, because I was really busy with my own projects that I had over here. I was doing some international projects, some that got delayed and everything. So at that point, I got this offer from my agent. I told her earlier that I want to do some Bollywood movies, because I promised my mother that I would do a Bollywood movie for her because she really wanted me to do it. And I had this chance. My agent called me and said, "Hey, there's a big budget Bollywood movie happening, and they want you to audition for this role." So I said, "Sure, okay, I'll audition for it." And I auditioned, and it was quite simple, the procedure. I auditioned, and I got the role, and yeah, that's how I got the job. Yeah.
And what do you play in Bell Bottom?
So I'm playing Kazini. Kazini is a junior subordinate of the ISI chief. ISI chief is basically the brain behind the whole plan. He's the guy who planned everything. Like, the movie is basically happening because of him, and I am basically with him all the time, and I'm the mediator between him and the terrorists and the plane. So I'm always with him, basically.
And how was it working with Akshay Kumar?
It was great. The thing is that I didn't have much. I met him like once or twice, and it was great meeting him, because I only I'm a old school Bollywood kind of guy. I watched all the old movies, but recently I haven't watched any. So I know Akshay Kumar from a very long time, since I was a kid. So it was kind of, I've worked with other Hollywood actors and filmmakers, but I was never even stressed working with him. But when I met Akshay Kumar for the first time, I was like, "Oh, that's him." Oh my God, I can't breathe. And I had to go there and introduce myself. And I was out of breath because, I mean, the guy I watched my entire childhood, he's just sitting there and he says, "Hi, Qais." I'm like, "Oh my God, that's him." So it was great meeting him. I was really, really happy to see him. And even though our scenes are really separate, I don't have scenes with him because we are mostly, the Pakistani side. I'm playing the Pakistani side, and they're the Indian side. So I'm mostly, on the Pakistani side, and I'm not shooting any scenes with him. But I met him a couple of times, and it was great. I was really, really happy to meet him finally.
Of course, you're an Afghanistani living in Belgium. How many language do you know, and how good are you in Hindi?
So, thing is, I know a couple of languages, which are French, because I live here and I learned French and I studied in French, and I'm pretty good in French. English, I'm really good with accents. I learned, I have a passion for learning different kind of accents. Like any kind of English accents you could think of. All I need is a little bit of time, and that's it. I get it, but I need some time with it. So I can do any kind of English accents. I know Dari, Pashto, Farsi, Hindi or Urdu में भी बात कर सकते हैं, लेकिन I don't get the chance to speak that much Hindi. So what happens is, after a while, when I talk to my Indian friends in India, they're like, "You sound like an Angrez again." I'm like, "Why?" Like, well, it's just because I don't talk. So as soon as all I need is, go back to my friends and talk to them, and after a while, I'll be fine. It happened on Bell Bottom set too, because when I first went there, they didn't know I could speak Hindi, so they were calling me. Some people even called me Gora, Rai Gora. So eventually, after a while, I got so good that like, I could feel it. Like, okay, all I needed was a little bit of time, and my Hindi and Urdu, it would be good, actually.
Are you planning to work here in Bollywood?
Oh, definitely, yes. Because thing is, initially not really, because I was aiming for bigger and bigger and bigger projects, and but then eventually I realized that I do want to do Bollywood, because there was a period of time that I was really cut off from Bollywood, and I wouldn't watch any Bollywood movies. I didn't know what was going on there. How was the industry and everything. I think it was after 2010 I stopped watching Bollywood movies and films and songs and everything. But then eventually, when I became an actor, and after a couple of years, I realized that yeah, why not? Why not? I speak Hindi and Urdu. I could play in Bollywood movies, and especially when my mother said, she wanted me to do a Bollywood movie. She really wants to see me in a Bollywood movie. I said, you know what, doesn't matter how big or small the role is, I'm gonna go and audition for it, and step by step I'll get there. So yes, it definitely does interest me.
Kaz, you are somebody who has done international projects as well, especially the famous one, of course, was the one for Apple TV Plus that was called Tehran.
Yeah.
But you are somebody who live in Belgium. How do you think you'll reach out to people here in Bollywood?
Here's the thing. I have multiple agents who are working for me from in different parts of the world. But I do know that Bollywood is different. You really need to be there. So for my international projects, I don't have to do much. I mean, just like I got Bell Bottom when I was sitting here in Belgium. I got Tehran when I was here. All I had to do was my agents, they find contacts, and, they asked me to audition, and that's it. But for to go further in a Bollywood, Bollywood industry, I am planning to come to India. It's just that I have some projects right now that I'm waiting for some results. And so I can't come right now, but I'm planning by the end of the year, I will most probably come to India.
Are you friends with other actors from Afghanistan who are in Bollywood, like Varina Hussain?
I don't know if I should, if I'm allowed to say it, but yeah, I knew Varina Hussain when we were kids, actually. So I do know her, and I've heard that she starred in a movie recently, but I don't know much. How did she do it? When did she start it? For me, I remember her as a friend of mine came to me and was like, Qais, do you know she's in a Bollywood movie? I was like, who? Showed me the picture, and I was like, I don't know this person. Like, that's her. Like, oh wow, she used to be my classmate at some point. So yeah, I do know her, but when we were kids, so I don't even know if she remembers me. But we were in the same school at some point.
Sure. Guys, what is the biggest challenge you face when it comes to audition, especially for a movie that is made by somebody from West?
When it comes to auditions, the biggest challenge is time. Because in the West, they're very precise with what they want. So and they give you just one day. And my thing is, I have to do it either perfect or I am not gonna do it. So in that one day, I really work hard to get it as perfect as possible. So for me, it would be time, because especially during the audition, once I get the job, I think I am way more comfortable in working with the people here, because I studied here, and I did theater here, I did film school here, so I do know how it works. We literally have like filmmaking language, we have acting language, which was totally the opposite when I did Bell Bottom, because it was different. I was not used to it, and I really needed a movie like Bell Bottom where I'm not playing a massive role to learn all those things, because it is totally different. Here, for example, there's my mentor used to tell me always, Qais, less is more. But I never felt that when I did Bell Bottom, even though in Bell Bottom you could see that all the actors are very like realistically acting, and but it's still, when it comes to like the international level or a Hollywood level, they would think, maybe it's a little bit different than what we do here, But again, Indians are different, like the Indian population, even when they talk, like even Afghans, when we talk, we use a lot of hand gestures, we use a lot of head gestures, but in Europe, that is literally doing this is considered kind of overacting. Well, why are you using your hands when you don't need them? You just act with this, that's it. So there was that, in the difference between working in Bollywood.
Do you sometimes feel that your ethnic identity or being an Afghanistani leads to typecasting? Or do you think that Hollywood is now opening up and becoming more diverse when it comes to casting?
Well, yes and no, because initially, when I started, I did some jobs myself. I did a lot of theater, and eventually, I I got spotted by an international agent, and I started working, and I realized that I was getting more of, the typecast roles, but I was not getting, the Afghani roles. I was getting, the typical badass kind of roles, like, oh, the guy who's like muscled, who wears a leather jacket and who ties his hair, like stuff like that, who always has a gun, And, I got comfortable with it, and I like I like doing those kind of roles, the tough guy roles. But the thing is, I'm a born comedian, I've done theater, I've done a lot of theater, and most of them were comedy, So I'm actually happy that I do have a niche at least, Every actor should have a niche to at least get to a place where they're spotted, and then, they could, get other kinds of roles. And I think it worked for me so far, and now I'm looking to, get different kind of roles and find, other projects where I could do comedy and romantic movies and all that.
I was watching this interview by a casting agent based out of Mumbai. She's the one who casts talent for Hollywood film. She said
Mhm.
the one thing that is very important for actors today who wants to act in Hollywood movie is to get the accent right, because
Yes,
the one which is easily understood by Americans. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree with that because for me, the first step is get the language right. Once you get the language right, once you get the dialogues, once you know how it is supposed to be delivered, then it gets easier. Then you can create your character. Then you can have, do whatever you want to do as an actor. But the first step is language. If your language is not, like there, you're not like, imagine if I would audition for an Indian film for a main lead in India, and then I have an Afghani accent. They would definitely not cast me because I sound Afghani. They were looking for, an actor who could play an India like an Indian. So they would not cast me. Same thing goes here. If they're looking for an Iranian actor like an actor who could perform as an Iranian, then they want you to have that Iranian accent. In Tehran, even though at that point I didn't even know how Iranian accent was, how I how I would do it in English. But I took my time and I did, I went to a linguist and he helped me with, the pronunciations and the way they talk. That was my first step. And I did that. And same thing goes to Bell Bottom, the way I speak English. For example, there was a dialogue in Bell Bottom where I speak English in it. But I had to do it in like the Indian accent English without overdoing it, because in the West people have like that over the top Indian accent, but I had to be the realist. I have to do like even though it's one dialogue where I'm saying English with an Indian accent, I had to make sure I say it the right way because I didn't want it to, I want to get the language right. And I think one of the reasons I am where I am is because of my language skills and my accent skills and how much time I put into language.
Okay, let's talk about what's happening in Afghanistan. While you live in Europe and you have an agent there, how do you see the future of Afghan film industry?
Well, Afghan film industry, I wasn't really that much aware of the industry. Well, I mean, I haven't, I was not in touch with them, let's put it this way, because I was really busy, working, getting the biggest projects, working in international projects, doing Hollywood projects, even Bollywood eventually. But so I was not really aware, I was aware of them, but I didn't know how it functioned until I noticed this lady. Her name was Sahar Karimi, I think. She was the director of Afghan films until she came, and then she kind of, introduced some realistic films, some nice films, and I was like, these films are kind of nice, actually, because we don't have any we didn't have any film schools there. We didn't have any theater schools there, so they were self-taught. But Sahar Karimi, she was, she studied abroad, and she came and suddenly she had a different vision. And sadly, that was one of the heartbreaking videos that I saw online, was her running away from Kabul and saying that Taliban came into Kabul and I'm going now. I have to leave the city because they were going to kill her. That's there's no. So I don't know when it comes to the future of Afghan films. I don't really know what is gonna happen. But I do know that the people in the West, they will, like people like me. I would make sure that I would also make Afghani films. I would also make films for my own people. Doesn't matter. There are a lot of Afghanis around the world, and if not for the people in Afghanistan, I could at least make those films for the people of Afghanistan who are living here in the West, or in India, or in different countries. So I think it would not stop. That's for sure. Afghanis will continue making films, and there will be artists. But in Afghanistan, sadly, I don't think, until Taliban are there, I don't think there will be any films.
Have you been to Afghanistan?
The last time I was in Afghanistan was, I think, about 12 years ago. Yeah, 12 years ago, I was in Afghanistan. After that, I never went back because I kind of took an oath that, whenever I will return back to Afghanistan, I'll have at least 1 or 2 projects that I could show them. I would say, here, I did this, and I wanted to represent my people on an international level, and I did. And here's my gift to you guys. And I thought that, it was going to be, it was time, and I was planning to actually go before, because I was planning at the end of the year, I would go to Afghanistan, and then I would go to India, and then all this suddenly happened. So I couldn't go back again.
How do you want to keep the spirit of Afghanistan and its cinema alive?
Yes, the thing is that I've always, I've been living here in Belgium for a long time now. I've mostly all my friends are, Dutch, Belgian, and and when I went to film school, all my friends were from different nationalities. And I was the only one who were, no matter what I do, I don't really look like an Afghani, but I make sure they know that I'm an Afghani, because that's where I'm born. That's me. So what I would do is, if I get somewhere, I would spread the word, just like I did recently. Like I had all these interviews and I was talking about Afghanistan. If I wouldn't do it, then who would? I know that actors should stay away from these kind of political statements, but we're talking about my country here. We're talking about the place where I was born. So I can't just stay silent because I'm an actor, and an actor shouldn't talk about politics. So just like now, I'll always represent Afghanistan, and I'll always be there for the people of Afghanistan if they need help from me. If one thing I know is, through my art, I will represent them. And I'm also a writer, as you might not know. I write stories myself too. So I would always, I have literally 2 stories right now that I've written, which is about Afghani people. And I would make sure I make those films. I show those films to the world. And that's how I'm planning to, keep the spirit alive.
Qais Khan, thank you so much for talking to us, and all the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you.